you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the Iron Lady sings it, that makes it official. Welcome to the big show. Welcome. One and all, it's the Big Ten in the Sky, the Chris Voss Show, around for 16 years. Over 2,200 episodes. Make sure you listen to every single one at least 4 times, just to make sure you got all the bases covered there. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTok, and all those crazy places on the internet. Today, an amazing young man on the show. We're going to be talking about hydrogen, learning about how to improve the quality of your health. We're going to be hearing his story, how he saved his life with it, and all that good stuff. So we're going to get into it. We have Greg, the Hydrogen Man, on the show with us today. I'm Chris, the Dehydrated Man, who will be interviewing him. So he is a gentleman who is a molecular hydrogen therapy trailblazer, specialist, researcher, and host of the popular YouTube channel Uprising 144K Hydrogen Man, struggling to find answers in overcoming extreme depression, including his suicidal thoughts for compromised immune system, tumors, autoimmune issues, gut health, arthritis, wheelchair-bound immobility, and a very serious heart condition. He began his journey to heal himself and discovered hydrogen along the way. Studying the complex compound for 4 years, he implemented his health regimen and reversed his health challenges. He discusses the endless health benefits of hydrogen and how it protects against EMF radiation, topical application for skin problems, tumors, hormone support, COVID, marketing tricks to find out when watch out for when shopping for generators. And we'll even ask him if it helps avoid stupid people, because there's a lot of them in the world. On Twitter, usually, or X, whatever it's called this week. Anyway, guys, welcome to the show. How are you, Greg?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Cool. Can it help us from stupid people on social media? Avoid them? Protect us from?
Now, first, I always have to tell you, I'm not giving any medical advice. I'm not making any medical claims. I do have to tell you that. But
I'm pretty sure stupid people aren't going to sue, so we'll be good.
But I will say that I always look at the medical data. I'm really big on following the science and the data. And sadly, hydrogen does not appear to increase IQ.
Damn it.
However,
no hope for me then.
However, I will say that I've seen some amazing things in regards to dementia, Alzheimer's, brain fog, neurological activity. It's unbelievable what I've been seeing in regards to that, and the research that is being done in Japan in regards to these fields.
Wow. So give us a .com or wherever you want people to look you up on the interwebs to get to know you better.
If people want to get to know what I've been doing for well over a decade now, is you can go to my YouTube channel, which is called Uprising 144K. I give everything for free. I mean, this stuff saved my life, so I'm trying to give back, because I know through personal experience what it's like to suffer and have medical problems and how this completely ruins your life. And because I spent so much time to figure out my way, because I worked in the medical field, by the way, for over 2 decades.
Oh, wow.
So I understand Western medicine. I've worked with numerous specialists and different doctors. I know the field. And when I got sick, they had nothing for me. I knew that would happen too if I ever got sick, which my issues were very severe. And ultimately, now I share the information absolutely for free. I'm trying to give back, and I'm trying to share everything that I've learned, and it's been a long, painful road.
Oh, wow. Tell us your journey. It sounds like you went through one. How did you grow up? When did you start having issues? And how did you get to this road?
I started having some issues as early as my 20s. Because I suffered from really deep depression, probably starting around the age of 8, roughly 8 or 9 years old. And that was really tough. And I probably caused my own problems by sadly trying to end my own life. I think a lot of people with depression these days. And so I really had to learn how to overcome that. But I caused a lot of problems. I OD'd more than once. And I took a lot of, it's a miracle that I'm even alive. I mean, the things that I've done to my poor body were not good. And then eventually, instead of killing me, it just made me suffer extremely. I mean, I couldn't walk. I was in so much pain. I clearly damaged my heart. I was supposed to get open heart surgery because I'm supposed to be dead by now, by the way.
Yeah.
And just numerous other problems, inflammation, tumors in my body. My immune system was garbage. I had really bad GI problems, with my stomach and GI system. I mean, just numerous issues. My life was a total mess.
Wow. What was causing the depression for people that out there might be suffering the same thing, so they can think about it?
I took a deep dive into depression because I started taking college courses when I was 13. So I was kind of way ahead of my time when I was a young kid. And I basically majored in psychology, was one of my majors, and really trying to find the answer to depression. And there's certain factors. Not everybody is depressed for the same reason. Oh. And so some of it can be biological. Some of it can be situational. There's so many different factors. But ultimately, the one thing that I strongly believe now after finding my way out of all this is that the human body needs to be at its best. If you want to be happy, obviously healthy, active, your brain to work right, everything needs to be running on all cylinders to be able to fight off, an infection or a virus or anything. Your body has to be at 100%. And to be happy, it's the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting how when we are miserable about something and unhappy, how it translates into pain in the body and sickness. And I mean, it can kill us. It really can. There's clear scientific evidence coming out of Japan on what sadness and even just, the depression, but also stress and the effects it has on the body. And they have found that it's probably one of the most harmful things to the body, even more than, even garbage that we eat. I know diet's really important, and I follow a really clean, strict diet. And I'm really big on cleaning my water. I have lab reports. In fact, I have some right here as far as stuff that's in water. It'd shock you. Third-party lab tested, lots of different water filtration, hydrogen. I mean, I have all the labs to prove basically that I've been right for many years. A lot of people thought that I wasn't right about the things I was showing, and now I have proof, and I've been doing this for a long time. So it's a miracle in my opinion, and nature does it also. So how did you trip across this hydrogen stuff, and how did you develop this in resolving a lot of your health issues?
So the first thing is that I was trying to look at medical data, because Western medicine is actually way behind. When new stuff comes out, they really are not up to date on most things. When I first saw the first medical data I saw on hydrogen, to be honest, I thought it was a scam, because there's so many, in my opinion, there's so many scams in the natural health or alternative health industry. It's ridiculous. I've seen way too many lab reports and horror stories of things going on in that field. And so I had to do my homework really deeply, reading the medical literature and the scientific data. Again, I thought it was fake. And so I kept following it. I kept trying to see where the data was coming from. And I read it for almost 4 years. And I realized that this stuff was definitely legitimate. And I was suffering so much that then I had to learn more as far as how do I make it? How do I apply this hydrogen to my life to see if it would help me with my numerous medical conditions? And so that was kind of the path that I took.
Wow. And did you try a bunch of these hydrogen variation products that were on the market? I'm looking on Amazon right now, and there is a endless supply, it seems. But I know that there's kind of a favorite you have.
Yeah, the reason that I have a favorite is because I found that a lot of these products literally wouldn't help me. And then upon doing a lot of different blood work, because I'm always following my blood work to make sure that what I'm doing is working, I saw that there was some really major problems. Like, for example, these little hydrogen bottles, in my opinion, these are absolute garbage. I would never use these, not even for free. Why? Now, the question is why? These things are basically made in China. Some people try to claim they're not, but basically they're almost all made in China. They're using plated metal or coated metal, which is important to understand. You do not want to use, in my opinion, any product that uses either plated or coated metals or stainless steel. This is not the metals you want to use for making hydrogen safely and properly, in my opinion, based on massive amounts of research. All the majority of products that you see are from either China or Korea. Korea, I found out through my research, the majority of them just get parts from China, put them together, and try to claim that these things are made somewhere else. They're trying to hide the fact that they're made in China. And then the membranes, I saw the lab reports of what's in these membranes. The whole thing's scary. And throughout my research, to make it really simple for you, Chris, all my research led me to Japan. Japan has the number one best research on hydrogen. They're the ones who discovered it. It is approved to be used in these top university hospitals, so it's medically approved. And their number one machine in all of Japan, the best technology in the world, they were not using depleted metals. They were not using a chemical like lye or sodium hydroxide. Everything they were doing was literally perfection. And I was so impressed that I obviously went to try to get one of their devices. And I found out the guy who had literally designed and built this machine and had help from top engineers in Japan. It's a beautiful story, Chris. This guy saved his own daughter's life with his technology that he developed. He did not want it made in China. He did not want to use crappy stuff. He didn't want to make the hydrogen, in his opinion, toxic by doing it incorrectly. And it ended up saving my life and has helped so many people. Like, one of the best examples, I have a family member who had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, arthritis, diabetic, and glaucoma. And all those issues went away with the hydrogen technology. And it blew me away that this stuff, I've seen it work. Obviously, like me, for example, my heart condition, you should have seen my cardiologist's face when my heart condition just disappeared after using the hydrogen. Never needed the surgery. I don't have that crazy scar. Never did open heart surgery. And all my other conditions are now gone too. And it's just such a thing of beauty. And I just think it's a treasure is what I think. And I'm so thankful for that Japanese guy who developed this technology.
Wow. What is different, for people who flunked high school like me? I flunked second grade. I think that's the callback joke we use. For people who flunked second grade like me, what's the difference between water and hydrogen water?
All right. So water is H2O, which is obviously 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. Okay. The thing is that they're together. So what we're talking about, molecular hydrogen is a gas. So what we're technically doing with this equipment is dissolving the gas into the water. And that's the key. So it's kind of like CO2, like a soda pop or something, how you have the carbonated water. It's just that you're using a different gas. You're putting hydrogen gas in the water. And that's literally the magic right there.
The hydrogen gas.
That's right.
So, and these how do they get the hydrogen gas in there? Is it like a cartridge,
No, so they developed, this is a one-of-a-kind technology. Nobody in the world does it or uses it. It's too expensive. And so the Japanese said, we don't care. This is, and they were able to accomplish it very cheap. I mean, it ended up not being $20,000, it ended up being very affordable. And what they do is they have a dual chamber system. So they extract the hydrogen from one side while dissolving the gas in the water that you're actually going to drink. And it also uses a lot of technology that's important. One is called like an H-type DI filter or cartridge. The other one that they're using a special membrane. Nobody in the world makes it. It's a one-of-a-kind from Japan again, because they didn't want to use DuPont or Chinese technology because they had lab reports on it and it didn't look good. They don't want that stuff in the water. We're trying to heal, right? We're not trying to get sick. And then they used extremely expensive metal, which was very, very high-end. Supposedly it was impossible to create, but there was a special company. There's only one company in the world that can make it. Because, the Japanese are experts with metal, just like their samurai swords. They're absolutely experts in metallurgy. And so there's a lot of things to the technology, but the simple fact is that they did it so that it would be easy for us as a user of such technology. And you can literally buy it. They made it the size of a coffee maker. It's, like I said, it's unbelievable.
How come the Japanese kind of have the corner on this market? You did kind of answer it, I think, when you said that they were the first to develop it. Why were they the first to develop, and why did they decide to do it? I mean, we're in America, damn it. We do everything first.
I wish America would have figured it out, but to be honest, for a lot of people who don't understand the Japanese are unbelievable. I mean, the things that they figured out, and technology that we use that was originated from the Japanese, by the way. And so they're the ones who figured it out by going to a place called Lourdes, France. Have you ever heard of a place called Lourdes, France?
I believe I have, yeah.
And basically, a lot of people drink the water from there, claim that they're healed from a lot of medical conditions. And so they started documenting all these cases of people truly, their conditions going away. And nobody could figure out what was so special about the water there until the Japanese researched it, because it's so hard to detect molecular hydrogen. But eventually the Japanese figured that out. They started doing actual medical testing and scientific testing in their labs in Japan, realized the effects on mice, which was unbelievable. I wish I could show you the footage. I literally have footage of the way it affects mice. And then they realized through numerous studies, we're not talking like 20 studies or 50 or 100, we're talking over 2,000 studies to date. So it's been really, really basically shown to really have a very positive impact on health, obviously, and being used in top medical universities now. And so that's how they discovered it. And then the problem was that everybody who makes the devices, again, they didn't want to put in the research. They didn't want to put in the money. Like China, they just want to cut corners. I don't know if you've ever seen these videos from China where they literally put stuff in shrimp or chicken to make them big and heavier. And it's so toxic. It's terrible what they do in China. But the Japanese are not like that. The Japanese have a very high moral code. So high, in the old days, they really would end their own life if they felt that they dishonored themselves or their family. So the Japanese have a very high moral code, and so they like to do things the absolute best, even if sometimes it's a lot of work and not a lot of profit in it. But that's, like I said, the guy who developed this device did it for his daughter who was dying. She was born with Lou Gehrig's disease. It was a very sad story. Yeah. She was told that she'd be lucky to reach the age of 5 years old. And he developed this tech so she could use it at home, make it accessible. And she is now something like 14 years old. And just unbelievable the effect that this hydrogen from this holy hydrogen device, the way it's affected her, and he became #1 in Japan as far as the tech, and he got a lot of help. He got a lot of help from big industries in Japan. So this would have been impossible without the technology that they have, and their unbelievable hydrogen technology, literally #1 in the world.
And so it not only makes water that you can drink, you can also inhale it with their system?
Yeah, so the hydrogen gas is best used when you drink the water, but also inhale the gas. And I've literally worked with people. I got videos. I show her all this for free on my channel. There was a woman who had TBI, traumatic brain injury. She could barely talk, Chris.
Wow.
She would forget things literally after 5 to 10 seconds. And there's actually a video. The Holy Hydrogen Company has their own YouTube channel, and they did a video with her as a testimonial. But I had spoken to her before this. I helped her with a protocol. And then there was another person with dementia. They didn't even recognize their own daughter. Their daughter got one of these pieces of equipment, and she started inhaling it, the lady with the dementia. The gas goes straight to your brain, obviously affects your eyes. I've seen a lot of eye conditions like macular degeneration, glaucoma, things of this nature, even torn retinas, and things for the brain. And the results were unbelievable. She started recognizing her daughter again. She began to be able to speak again. She sent me before and after pictures. She sent me an email with a full testimonial, and I shared that. And this is a technology that I said the average person doesn't know about it. And sadly, the few people that do know about it, all they know is these silly hydrogen products like these bottles or hydrogen pills and stuff that I personally would never use based on what I've seen in lab reports.
Wow. It sounds like something I need to look into, as we talked about before the show. I wasn't too familiar with the hydrogen thing, and there's a lot of these things on here. Now, I know you call your channel, I think it's 144 on YouTube, something 144?
Uprising 144K.
Okay. Now, does that 144K refer to the quality of water? I think the reason I'm asking, I see all these things I'm looking at the website, and have been popping around on Amazon. There's 4,400 ppb, 5 ppb, 44, 4,100,
yes.
2,200. What does all this mean? I'm not even sure what the ppb or whatever is on this Lord's thing.
For parts per billion. And when you see that, you're immediately seeing something they're trying to fool the average consumer that doesn't understand this. You really want to go by ppm, which is parts per million. Not be.
I can see the scam there right now. I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
I'm sorry, Chris, but I got to tell you, the hydrogen industry, in my personal opinion, is such. There's so many scams out there. It's unbelievable, and that's why I share the information so people don't have to waste their money or potentially even hurt themselves with the wrong hydrogen equipment. And that's why I share a lot of the information so people can be educated on if they really want to take hydrogen seriously to hopefully help them.
ppb, parts per billion. That's crazy, man. You would think how small that is. It's like
it's ridiculous.
0.00 whatever, I don't know, 4,200 of a billion. So you mentioned you could hurt yourself. Is there stuff you could hurt? Maybe if it's bad plastics or something. How does that work?
The biggest concerns that I have, based on what I've personally have seen, is again, no device that uses stainless steel, no device that uses lye or sodium hydroxide, which is the main ingredient in Drano. And believe me, they actually do that. In my thinking, really? Oh, it's complete lunacy in my opinion.
I'm having Drano right now with my coffee. It's kind of it puts that kick to it.
Oh, terrible for the kidneys.
Kidneys are overrated.
And I
sold them already for. I put them up for the hydrogen machine.
All I can tell you is, obviously, in my opinion, health is the greatest gift that we absolutely have, because without it, you can't go to work, you can't think straight, you can't even enjoy your life. And I learned that. So.
Yeah, it is. You got to have your kidneys. Last time I checked.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Otherwise, you can't drink vodka very freely.
And here's the one for you, Chris. I mean, if you find this interesting. So if you drink, this is something that I do. If I'm going to hang out with friends and we're going to go have a beer or something like that, you brought up vodka, I will drink hydrogen water before, because there appears to be research that shows you that it protects you against a lot of the negative effects of alcohol.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And I've seen hydrogen. My video number 8 shows it, how protective it is against many things, from radiation to certain toxicities to 5G, for example, in my opinion. There's so much stuff. It's so protective to the body and anti-aging. A lot of people don't know that hydrogen, there was a research study I read about it in regards to anti-aging and how powerful it is for that. But it's hard to believe what all it does. It really is truly hard to believe. Wow. But it is magical, in my opinion. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're kind of living proof of all this, right?
Yeah, there was the things that I've achieved throughout the years. I now have a lot of doctors who've asked me for advice. In fact, it's funny because I don't give medical advice, but they're asking for it. I had a doctor I do blood work regularly. And when she saw it, she literally called me, which worried me, because being in the medical field, I know that you don't want to get a phone call from a doctor. Usually it's true.
That's true.
And that's just the way that it goes in the medical field.
Plus it's usually because you owe money.
Yeah, usually the doctor doesn't call you when you owe money.
That's true.
Somebody else.
It was a good joke, though.
Or you get a letter. But what I can tell you is that she called because she said, I've been doing these type of blood work. I'm a specialist in this field. I've been doing it for over 3 decades. And when I saw your blood work, she said, it was so unbelievable. I've never in my life seen blood work like yours. She said, I had to call you what you were doing. And I'm now working with certain medical centers, because I've developed these protocols for myself. And they recently started trying to apply certain protocols that I created for myself. And the results that they're achieving so far are unbelievable. They have before and after pictures. They have testimonials of people who've had strokes, who couldn't walk, all sorts of crazy stuff. So now what's happening is the doctors that these patients were originally working with have seen the results, and they're so blown away. They actually asked the guy who's running the clinic, what the heck are you doing? Because this is literally unbelievable. It's hard to believe. It's like a miracle. And so they're visiting his clinic now, trying to learn about the techniques and the protocols and this hydrogen. And it's just unreal. I'm going to be posting more videos about that soon. But this one is one of the real ones. And I've seen too many things out there, in my opinion, again, that are just garbage. And they try to sell stuff out there in the world of natural health. And so I like to show on my channel what is the real deal and what isn't, so people hopefully don't get fooled. And I was recently contacted, by the way, by a laboratory. So they've been really cool too, because they actually saw me on a show. And one of the guys is a water expert, and he just told me, he said, everything you said on that show was absolutely accurate. I was impressed by your knowledge. And he was sick, and he applied the hydrogen. It ended up fixing him too. And his brother had a medical condition, fixed him. And so now he's a big believer in it. And he's doing a lot of cool laboratory stuff, which he'll be sharing data with me. But I've already seen some of it. And all it's doing is proving that, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but it's proving that I was right all along. And this is going to be something really good to share with people, so that hopefully they use the right type of hydrogen and not stuff that, again, could potentially be harmful to the average person.
Wow. So I'm looking at the holyhydrogen.com website. The unit's pretty expensive, in the 2,000 plus range. Please don't, on YouTube, please don't do it 5 to 10 years from now. Tell me that's discounted and yell at me. Please don't do that. We never quote prices. We quit quoting prices on stuff on YouTube years ago, because people would write me 10 years later. I mean, we've had an 18-year channel over there.
Oh.
They'll still write me and they'll be like, it's not full price anymore. It's on deep discount. I'm like, yeah, the video's 8 years old. Right now in December of 2024, it is $2,299.
Yeah.
Let's say someone like me who's a layman and new to this whole knowledge and stuff and kind of wants to, not blow out the bank wading into it and just kind of discover a little bit. Is there maybe some other things that you'd recommend that maybe are, for broke people like me that don't have any money, living on the viaduct in their van down by the river, that sort of thing?
Of course, there's a lot of
something to just kind of walk me into it where I can try a little bit of it and I can go, okay, this is going to help me here. I think I like what I'm seeing.
So the difficult part is if you're trying to say that you want to sample hydrogen, you're going to have to know somebody who's got a machine. That's the first thing.
So find someone with a machine, eh?
But Chris, just so you know, your body, everybody's human body actually is producing hydrogen. Okay.
Oh, okay.
As you age, you actually appears to that you make less and less hydrogen, which is one of the problems. Okay. And so one of the things you can do is exercise is good for hydrogen production. In my opinion, a fiber-rich diet is because most of the hydrogen is produced in the gut, by the way. But if you want a simple health tip that will help your health, that is absolutely free and easy, because I have all sorts of health tips to really transform your life. I had to transform mine. And this one's medically backed. It's from Japan also. The Japanese do amazing medical research that I've never seen. It's really, truly unbelievable. But basically, when you wake up in the morning, here's a tip. Grab a toothbrush. Do not put toothpaste on it. Just wet your toothbrush, brush your teeth for maybe 10, 15 seconds, and brush the inner surfaces of your mouth, the inner lining of your cheeks, the roof of your mouth, your tongue, before you either eat or drink anything. Why? Because the Japanese discovered that when we're sleeping, it appears that we grow cancer-causing bacteria in our mouths while we're sleeping. And when you eat or drink something, you inadvertently are swallowing this stuff into your GI system. So just by simply cleaning your mouth, it can impact your health and help, for example, with certain inflammation and whatnot. And then my other tip is drink really clean water. So I recommend the cleanest water in the world. Not your average water. It's not expensive, luckily, but there's a website called mypurewater.com. And if people want a discount code to make it cheaper, the code is uprising144K, the same name as my channel. Wow. And what that is called carbon distillation. I have a lab report right here because I've seen what's in the water and I've seen what your average water filter does and does not filter out. This is the only method to clean everything out of that water to a really high degree. And so I recommend, I'm really big on clean water because I've seen what's in the water, and in my personal opinion, it's a major, major problem. And then of course the average person's dehydrated. And then hydrogen's the magic. I mean, that's the magic thing if you can afford it. But just remember, Chris, those devices are so well made that they last actually such a long time. Like most of these little bottles, for example, they break very quickly. They're just cheap Chinese garbage again, in my opinion. You'd be lucky if they last a year. The Holy Hydrogen device has such a long life that I calculated it financially. It's actually the cheapest way to make hydrogen water and inhale hydrogen gas in the long term because of how reliable that Japanese machine is as compared to the Chinese stuff.
What's the old saying? You can't put a price on your health. Now, what does the inhaling do? Does this sound like when I used to huff paint back in the day? No, I'm just kidding. Kids don't do that. It's a joke.
You know, you asked me that earlier. Remember I was telling you that it goes to the brain.
I know the one inhales, but okay, yeah. So you did kind of explain that to me.
And for the lung, by the way.
Is it safe to, maybe my better question, is it safe to inhale hydrogen? Is this something I should be?
In my opinion, remember this, in my opinion, if you use the right equipment, there is equipment that is out there that I would never in my life inhale from. I've seen the lab reports, and I can't believe that's even being sold. The Holy Hydrogen machine, the Hydrofix, is making, that's why they advertise as the cleanest hydrogen there is, because that one, I've inhaled it for so many hours. They've done numerous lab tests in Japan, and in my opinion, that one is absolutely safe to inhale as compared to potentially other ones out there. So.
Now, the My Pure Water you recommend, it looks like they sell distilled water or distilled water machines.
Yeah, what they are is they're a combination of carbon filtration and distillation. I call it carbon distillation. It It's the only method to clean the water to a super high degree. There is no water filter that can do that. Like I said, I have the lab reports to prove it. Distillation is, again, Chris, what nature does. I learned a lot by observing God's creation. And in nature, that's how nature purifies water. It starts with hydrogen because it starts with the sun. It hits the ocean, and it literally, the water vapor starts rising. So basically what a lot of people don't know is that rain and snow is distilled water. And even if you look at ancient scripture, which is really interesting, there's verses about it. They say, pure as the driven snow, for example, or pure as white as snow, and all these different verses, because that is distilled water. Now, granted, in our atmosphere is so dirty these days that I wouldn't want to necessarily just drink rainwater, but you can actually make it with one of those machines. And in the long term, it's actually the cheapest way also to fully purify your water. And today, a new contaminant came out in the water supply, and I can't emphasize enough, if you want to transform your health, I recommend big time super clean water. And then if you can get super clean, properly made hydrogen with proper levels, it's unbelievable. It transforms your life. It's just unbelievable. It's hard to believe.
Wow. That's pretty wild. I'm learning a lot. I got to check out this. I got to get into this hydrogen water. Does it make your coffee taste better? I'm a big espresso guy now.
Hydrogen is odorless, colorless, tasteless, pH neutral. So it's not going to change the flavor. However, drinking clean water, I saw this with my own family. I got my mother and my father on the cleanest water with the best hydrogen for a lot of their medical issues. And it changed their palate to the point where whenever they drank water anywhere else, they'd come back to me and they'd be like, everything tastes like crap now because we've been drinking clean water. And so they really had a hard time with that one at first. But like I said, one thing that you can actually do, Chris, which is pretty wild, you could literally be inhaling the hydrogen gas while you do your show. Nobody would ever know. And it's literally so good for you, unless you were on camera and they saw you. But the health
sitting here huffing out of a bag, and they're like, he's doing pain again. I'm like, no, it's hydrogen water, eh?
It wouldn't be out of a bag. It's like a cannula that you would get, Yeah, super awesome for your health.
Yeah, you gotta love it. I'm just sitting here snorting fucking hydrogen on the show. People are like, why does he keep breathing during the show that are listening? And they're like, then they watch the video and they're like, oh, I see what he's doing. So he has a problem. But no, I'm just teasing. So this has been pretty insightful. As we go out, tell people where they can find you on the interwebs to learn more, watch your videos, et cetera, and your final pitch out to people. Do you do consulting or coaching where people can reach out to you for data?
Okay, I do consults and coaching. I typically don't like doing that much anymore, but if people really need it, I'm always here for people. I mean, I'm a big believer in the stuff about love your neighbors yourself. So I'm always there to help people. That's why I do my channel for free. And so I do consults for certain people, but not all the time. People can find me obviously on YouTube, but they can also find me on Rumble. They can also find me on Twitter, or otherwise known as X. Also find me on Instagram. And I think that I would say go to all the places and subscribe everywhere, because my channel has been under attack numerous times because it's hard to talk about medical issues. And anybody who really wants to support what I'm doing and or needs help to get their life back, because Chris, I mean, that's where I was at. I wanted to get my life back, brother. I was so depressed. I was so miserable, and getting my life back, I've never been more grateful in my life than I am now. And it's funny how it affects you that way. So in my opinion, don't ever wait. Your life and your health are the most important thing, because without them, you can't be good to others. You can't help others. You're no good to nobody if you're just laid up in bed and you constantly need to be taken care of by someone. It's a very sad situation to be in.
Yeah, that's what my wife tells me all the time. I'm not married, folks. That's a callback joke. Stay up. So anyway, I'm actually staying in bed to avoid her. So there's
not to mention, you're mentioning wives. I probably shouldn't bring this up, but also let's just say that you should see how this affects blood flow. It's
really
unbelievable. I have a video. I think it's video 68. They're all numbered.
Why didn't you bring this up at the start? You would have me sold, man. I'm buying one now.
I'm not trying to sell you. I just sharing data.
Yeah.
That was a live blood analysis as far as blood flow. Unbelievable. And I have had my personal experience with that, and it's so awesome. I love the technology. I clearly love the hydrogen. It's amazing.
I'm gonna get some hydrogen water now, just so I can chase the girlfriend around the room. Not sure what that means, but That sounded like a good idea at the time. Anyway, thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, Greg.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Chris. It was fun talking to you.
And I'm glad it's helped you, and I hope it helps more people as well, because, there are people out there that are suffering from this stuff. So thank you very much, Greg.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks,
And
Chris.
thanks, Ron, for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1, the TikTokity, all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time. And that should have us.